So, greetings and welcome back to CPE 198 lecture discussions. So, this is the first lecture series. There are four parts to this lecture. We will talk about what is research, why do we do research, how do we do research, and finally, what are the challenges of doing research in the field of education. So, let us get started. So, this is the first part where we answer the question of what is research. The goal for this short lecture is simply to define what is research and to describe the different ways of knowing. And you will later understand why is it important that we need to know the different ways of knowing. So let's start off with reading what is research according to Creswell. Research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. At the general level, research consists of three main steps. One is to pose a question, second is to collect data to answer the question, and finally, to present an answer to the question. So, in the definition of Creswell, as simply as that three steps, we can have a very general understanding of what research is. But not all things which you can find a problem or a question would warrant an extensive research. For example, if you have a question on why is my computer not turning on, maybe you can have a way to determine or find data why your computer is not turning on. And once you're able to find out the reason, then you would have an answer to the question. But those kinds of questions are not extensive enough so that it would warrant an extensive way of actually doing research. Another definition of research would be from Kothari, which they would define as search for knowledge, scientific and systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. The Advanced Learner's Dictionary of Current English lays down the meaning of research as a careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. Redman and Mori define research as a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. So, as you can see from Creswell's definition of three parts, to pose a question, to find data to answer the question, and to present an answer using the data on that question, somehow still fits into the description of Kothari in finding for new knowledge. Last definition that we will explore is from Pandy and Pandy, that is said that research is also considered as an application of the scientific method in solving the problems. If you can recall, scientific method is process by which we have to observe our surroundings, phenomena, and once we find certain irregularities, we can make use of the scientific method to investigate and draw new knowledge from that phenomenon. So, posing or having a question, posing a hypothesis, designing an experiment to test that hypothesis, and then making a conclusion. That is the general frame of the scientific method. And the scientific method, therefore, as Pandy and Pandy would claim, is kind of like the basis for how we do rational and scientific research in general. So it is systematic, it is formal, it is intensive process of carrying on the scientific method of analysis. There are many ways, therefore, of obtaining knowledge, and the scientific method is just one of them. So they are intuition, revelation, authority, logical manipulation of basic assumptions, informed guesses, observation, and reasoning by analogy. So one of the branches of research known as empirical research is one of those means by which we gain new knowledge. So that is highly goal-oriented technique according to Pandy and Pandy. So as you can see, research is just one of the many ways that we can know and obtain new knowledge. So for example, intuition. Um, Women are most often credited to having women's intuition. Sometimes they make decisions out of their gut feelings, and most of the time they get it right. So that's one way of kind of like having a knowledge about something, even if you don't know much about something. So another thing is revelation. For example, if you are a child and your parents suddenly reveal to you that, hey, um, certain things happen when you're an adult. So, for example, when little girls started to have a menstruation, so the parents would reveal the facts to her that that's a reality, that you're growing up, and so on and so forth. So, oftentimes when we go to school, we are given or fed with facts that are revealed to us as accepted as true. And therefore, it's also kind of tied up to authority. When someone in authority would say something like this, we kind of like take that as new knowledge, don't we? In philosophy, we also have logical manipulation of basic assumptions. If you have heard of the logical syllogism, so like you have two premises, and from those two premises, you kind of like get a conclusion. So that's an example of logical manipulation of basic assumptions. Informed guesses. So again, making hypotheses is like informed guesses, although you haven't proven it yet, but somehow it's kind of like it sounds true, right? True enough, right? And we also have observations and reasoning by analogy. So other means of knowing is actually sensory experience, right? So what we feel, what we see, what we smell, these are information that are contributory, that can contribute to new knowledge, right? Or we can also have agreement with others, right? Expert opinion, so similar to authority, you have logic, and finally, the scientific research. So allow me to conclude this short lecture of defining research. I believe that you all have a background of what a research is. This is just a refresher of what research is. So just to summarize, I want to focus on the definition of Creswell, that research is a process where we have a problem, we have a question, and to answer that question, we need to gather data in relation to that question and present a systematic way of gathering that data and finally presenting and analyzing that data to have an answer to the question. So that's a very general frame of how we should understand research.